Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. Here we are today for a Inter versus Sassuolo preview, and of course we'll talk about still a little bit about the Liverpool match and stuff like that, and what's going on in the world of Inter, contract situations, all that kind of stuff. Hoping you guys are feeling better after that Liverpool loss. As you guys know, I was expecting that loss. I was coming into that match with low expectations, but it still hurts, especially the way that we lost. Having all those chances and not being able to actually finish them off. But we move. We gotta get the record straight, man. We have to focus on the Serie A now. Champions League out of the way. We'll get to the second leg when we need to in about 3 weeks. But now we haven't got 3 points in a little while now. Obviously we lost the derby. We only drew against Napoli, so in the last 2 games we only got 1 point. So it's really, really important to remember that this is the priority for Inter, for the players. For me as well, has been the priority since the beginning of the season, and that's the best way to bounce back now is to win against Sassuolo, who are not an easy team. They've been giant killers this year, so we'll get into that now in the preview. And I see, wow, the chat has been very active already. My god, there's some arguments, there's some debates going on in the chat already. No fighting in the chat, guys. No fighting in the chat. Adriano is here to get his early pro Lauti propaganda. Amen. Adriano, Lautaro, what are we gonna do with this boy? He's been splitting the opinion of the fan base the last couple of days. I was on a Twitter space yesterday with Mo from Inter Worldwide. I don't know if you guys heard it or listened to it, but yeah, we started talking about Liverpool, the game, and then pretty much 70% of the conversation ended up being about Lautaro. The people being pro Lautaro, some people being like, sell him ASAP, like Mattia here, who's saying sell Lautaro ASAP. And then of course guys like Adriano defending him when he feels like it's just about getting the right striker next to him. And then we've got dreamers like Tari over here. I think Tari is a newcomer to the channel, or recent, like only last couple of weeks, I believe. And I think his other team is Man United, if I'm correct, because I follow him on Instagram. So Tari, the first thing you gotta do is you gotta the money that Man United and EPL teams are spending, you have to take that out of your head when you're coming on the Inter channels. You can't. These are kind of moves that we can't make, bro. I don't know how long you've been following Inter or how much you know about a situation financially. These types of move here. I mean, the fact that you mentioned Haaland's name in there. I mean, you went from like a free transfer, Isak, then Haaland, Schick, Immobile. Like the names are like all over the place in terms of different costs and different wages and stuff. Yeah, you need to calm your expectations down when you're talking about Inter. You can talk about those names if you're Man United, if you're a Premier League club, but unfortunately that's the reality of the things. And I always say, I'm not saying it to be negative Nancy or to like put your expectations down. I'm just trying to be realistic. You'll never hear me blowing gas up your gassing up our abilities, or saying things just to get more views and stuff. You get what I actually believe the truth to be. And yeah, we did miss out on Vlahovic. I don't think we ever went for Immobile, Isa. And that's the thing, guys, with the conversation about the striker. I mean, you guys have got me into this straight away. I was trying to ease into this conversation, but you look at the names out there, and it's just the transfer market for strikers is so poor at the moment. You say, everyone's been saying like we need a big striker who's good on the ball, good at link-up play, but also is lethal in front of goal. Is like who in the market out there has that apart from Haaland and obviously now Vlahovic? Like the transfer market, the availability of that profile that you're looking for, either is super expensive, or there's just not that many out there in the world football. So you have to find the profiles. That's why the Inter reportedly looking at Scamacca as their preferential target. Yes, he doesn't have all the attributes there. He hasn't shown that he's an ice cool killer in the box. He hasn't shown that he looks like he's got good link-up play, good technical ability, but can he replicate it in a bigger team with bigger pressures? Isak here, we're talking about great talent. He was great at the Euros. He was great for Sociedad last couple of seasons, but this season 6 goals in the Spanish league. Patrick Schick, I like Patrick Schick a lot since he was at Sampdoria in the Serie A, but he stumbled around his career. And this season, finally, after a great Euros he had, this season he's finally starting to score a good amount of goals. But he's the guy that is his career until now hasn't shown that he's that ice cool killer in the box. That at Roma he flopped. At Sampdoria he was more of like a creative second striker. So it's one of those like I'm not convinced fully by any of those names. And then at the end of the day, when you look at the stats, I know Lautaro is having a bit of a having a disappointing season, but can these guys, will they score as much or even more than Lautaro? And I'm not convinced in terms of whether that's as certain and as convinced some people are that the guarantee that these guys are going to be an upgrade on Lautaro. Dybala, of course, he's Bepp's going to try. He's going to try his best. I can promise you that. But I think I've said it since the beginning, I think he's going to either stay at Juventus or, one of the Premier League teams are going to come in with a big salary offer, which we can't do. So guys, just let's see what happens with this, especially like I agree with Massimo here as well, like the into Twitter, like the reactionarism like has been so strong over the last couple of days. We're acting like our season is over, that we're fighting for top 4, that this team is going into a banter era. This is the team that we're still champions of Italy. We're still with the game in hand against Bologna, we're potentially still first in the league. We finally, this is the furthest we've got in the Champions League for about 9 years, round of 16, and really and truly we weren't expected to be Liverpool. Liverpool are the favourites in this tie, and as we discussed, as Tari mentioned, they're like this depth. Liverpool brought on like 130 million worth of depth off the bench, whereas because of injuries as well. But even if Vecino was there, the only person that we were able to bring on was Gagliardini, Darmian, Di Marco, Ranocchia, like Sanchez. Like what's the combined value of those guys compared to what Liverpool is? Just different levels, guys. And I don't want people to start throwing this team under the bus now just because we didn't beat Liverpool, a better team than us in the league. And of course we know the Handanovic issue as well, and Adriano is he's like, I'll call Limone myself if Onana starts. He's coming, and let's see what he does. But also with Onana, I believe we need to have our expectations to be tempered. Just the guy was rusty. We saw in the AFCON, he was not impressive in the AFCON. I tuned into Cameroon matches, especially to watch Onana play, and he was not that good at all. You can see he's rusty. He hasn't played for over a year before, he is because of his ban. So we got to give the guy time, and I'm expecting him to have a few mistakes here and there where I can see the first few match reactions that people are like, oh, this was the upgrade of Handanovic. This is what Inter fans wanted so bad. I can see that happening because I think it's expected for a keeper to be, out of touch a little bit after being out for that long. But hopefully he's the answer to the issues. And I rewatched the goals. In my post-match reaction, I did say that I need to rewatch the goals that we conceded, and I do now agree that Handanovic should have done better. On the corner, I mean, his hand was pretty much almost there. He made that movement to the near post, and then he didn't quite save it. And then in the second one, I still really struggle to blame him. But at the same time, I know what people mean, that if it was a top class keeper, if it was like a younger Handanovic with more better reactions, like Magnan did in the derby, those deflections didn't take the ball that far away from him. That the ball ended up quite central in the end, and it maybe could have been saved. So that is the difference. They had Alisson, a 60 million goalkeeper, and we have Handanovic, a guy that has been declining for more than 2 years now. So that's the difference in Europe, guys. Those margins make a difference. Let me see what we'll hurry up. The boys of Vickery. Yeah, it was interesting that the chat was going off even before I came in. Sup Shama, sup Eduardo. Correa, I'm hearing that he should be available for the second leg. Him and Gosens should be available for the second leg against Liverpool. So we're initially when he first got injured against Empoli in the Coppa, they said it was going to be just after the the break, but it wasn't to be. So I guess they're trying to maybe take some extra precaution with him, which is a shame. We've missed Correa. Whatever you think of him, we've missed him in the last few games. The games were perfect against Napoli, against Milan. The spaces that opened up on the counter were right there. Against Liverpool, the spaces that Van Dijk and Konate were leaving with their high line, the space was there for someone like Correa to attack it. So it is a big shame. And I don't want people to forget that, Inter, when he was fit for those 3 or 4 weeks, when he was actually starting a lot, rotating with Lautaro and Dzeko, that was probably the best Inter played. When Correa Lautaro in the Napoli match, Correa Dzeko in the Roma match, like some of those matches where Correa was there was probably the best football Inter played this season. Thank you, Massimo, for coming through, and everyone else that's in the house. Christian in the house, first time live. Hey, nice to see you. Let's get going again. 3-1 Inter. Hey, that would be very nice to see. Mohammed, I am not going to Anfield for the moment. I'm still potentially, maybe, but it depends how much they cost. But the tickets are very, 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 very expensive, and I just don't feel like it's gonna be a worthwhile trip for me going to Anfield when we're already 2-0 down. I just don't see I don't have the faith or I don't have it in me to go out there and get slapped again by Liverpool at their home. Like Anfield is just a different beast. But maybe we'll see. Lautaro out of here. Daddy Correa is the best when he's fit. Oh man, like okay, for me now, Lautaro. We just gotta have faith in him, guys. We have to have faith in him. Peach is finally set up on the counter chat. So thank you very much, sir. Yeah, hit the like button. Lautaro, we don't have a choice right now, guys. I know some people like sell Lautaro straight away. We can't do anything now. We have to wait until the end of the season. And I agree that if the right offer comes along in the summer, and we're talking about, the offer that changes, that shakes up the you're like, whoa, okay, this is a nice offer. Because let's not forget, he's still, even though he's having a stinky season, he's still on 12 goals in the league. He's still technically our top scorer in the league, even though he took the penalties, which Dzeko doesn't. He's got the 0 goals in the Champions League is the one that bugs me. But if you look at it, if he starts to stat pad by the end of the season, he'll probably still end up on 17, 18 goals like he did last season. I think he had 17 non-penalty goals last season when he was playing on the Conte with Lukaku. And if he ends up around that same number, which I think he will, he's going through his bad streak at the moment, which we know he does. But if he ends up on, again, 17, 18 goals by the end of the season, this season will probably be including penalties. But that's still a number that you will very, very hard to find out there in Europe. So I don't want people to throw the guy like he's a complete bum now, treat him like, because when you look at his record for Argentina as well, he's got a better record and ratio than Carlos Tevez. Carlos Tevez, one of the best strikers of this past 2 decades. But for Argentina, the guy couldn't, hit a barn door. He's got an awful record for Argentina. And I know he wasn't called up as much as he probably should have as well. I think he had some issues just with a lot of coaches. Even Aguero, Higuain, a lot of these, top level strikers that Argentina have had over the last, decade or so. When they played for Argentina, they always choked. Whereas with Lautaro, he didn't choke when he came to Argentina, and he delivered. He wasn't the main piece. I'm not going to claim that he was the MVP of the Argentina team this past summer when he delivered the Copa America, but he did score important goals along the way, playing as a lone striker as well. In Argentina's, like, they play like a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. So there's no way you can convince me this guy is a bum that just needs to be sold straight away. Can he do better? Yes, he needs to do a lot better. And that's what I'm talking about. When you guys always say, like, I don't like criticizing the substitutes. We need to be criticizing more the starters, because the standards are higher. Like these guys, Barella, that's why I criticize him. Barella, Lautaro, these guys, they made the Ballon d'Or list. Top there, whatever you think of the Ballon d'Or is still, they deserve to be on that list. because the year that they had the last couple of seasons, they deserve to be up there. So for me, the standards for these types of players are higher, and for Lautaro, he's just not hitting the standards. And that's why I made that video a few months ago, which a lot of people were giving me hate for saying that I was being harsh on Lautaro. It's too early to call it, but I was seeing the signs with Lautaro not be. I wasn't convinced with what I was seeing, not just goals wise, but like link up play wise. And I'll get into it now, guys. Yeah, exactly, Indro. Strikers are, so going back to the point about when you look in the transfer market, who is out there? Strikers are a dying breed. That's why Vlahovic was so expensive, 75 million in January, you know, and he's only really had like what 1.5 season really of showing his level. But because proper true breed number nines like that are so rare, that's the price tag that you have to pay. You have to pay extra. That's why Lukaku cost Chelsea so much. Even before when United signed him, when Everton signed him from Chelsea, like Lukaku has, I think, one of the most expensive total transfer costs of all time, because he's such a unique profile that you're not going to be able to find. So Vlahovic is like that similar type, and it's really difficult out there to find that profile. And quickly going back to the Lautaro and Dzeko, in my opinion, now I hope Inzaghi sees it. I mean, I've been saying it on this channel, and a lot of you guys have been saying it on this channel. It needs to be binned. Like, so I got some screenshots from the Liverpool match the other day, and the issue we've seen from the beginning of the season, they just don't have any chemistry. The two guys have zero chemistry, zero understanding. And this is, this, I've got a few screenshots. This is the first one from around 9 minutes in the first half. Long ball, I can't remember, I think it was from Handanovic, this one. Nice ball up to Dzeko, but look how far, and in all these screenshots, that's what you need to look at. Look how the distance between the two guys. Dzeko there, this is, I would say, more Dzeko's fault, because he hasn't looked where Lautaro is. He heads it, he wins the header against Konate, but he heads it here where he thinks Lautaro is, but Lautaro is actually a lot deeper. And I don't blame Lautaro for this one, because he's probably looking to come in deep to collect the ball, but Handanovic went long. But this is, prime case of like there's just no understanding there between the two. Moving on to the next one, this is Lautaro receiving the ball with the back to goal. This is much better. Like here, this is much more like Lautaro and Lukaku last season. The distance is like there's about 10 meters between them. And Dzeko's free to receive, but in the end he goes to Vidal, which is fine. But this is more like how it should be between them. But the problem is, if Lautaro gives the ball there, he also has to be the guy to make, he has to be the one making the run afterwards, because Dzeko's not going to carry the ball like Lukaku used to do. That's why the partnership just doesn't work. And this is another prime example of bad understanding. Like Dzeko, this is when also people claiming that Lautaro is a second striker, but in this since Dzeko's come in, he's not the second striker. He's playing as the main striker, because Dzeko is the one that always comes, well, not always, but most of the time is deeper than Lautaro. Like here, look how deep Dzeko's come to try win the ball back, and he's done well, won the ball back. Then he carries it to this spot here, and he's thinking that Lautaro is going to make the run in behind, and he makes a nice ball in behind. But Lautaro, look at him, he's jogging, he gets caught on his heels here, and Trent just beats him to the ball because he was already reacting to that. Like, he needs to be, if Dzeko comes deep, he needs to know that he needs to get on his bike and just go. And I know he's not the quickest. People always mistake Lautaro for a quick player for some reason, but he's not quick. But out of the two, he needs to be the one that's more, getting in behind. And here, this one's definitely like on Lautaro. Like, he needs to be understanding that Dzeko, he hasn't got much choice apart from doing this potential ball over the top. And Liverpool, they play such a high line. Like, that ball was there the whole match. And this is another one where how is Dzeko going to get the ball to you there? This is a throw in, so Dumfries takes the ball, throw in here. How is Dzeko going to be able to get the ball to you there, Lautaro? It's a difficult one. And I think in here, he's getting marked by two guys. You see Fabinho there and Konate there is a bit blurred, but there's two guys on him there. And we lose the ball from a throw in. Like, the positioning sometimes between these two, and that's what I'm talking about in terms of understanding. There's just zero understanding between the two. This is a better one, as you can see here. But again, it's like Dzeko passes it to him there. This is the one where, Lautaro got a lot of criticism because he didn't take on Van Dijk. But by the time he gets to the other side of the pitch, Van Dijk, does that thing, uses the aura. He just, and Lautaro gets scared of him. But by the time Lautaro gets to there, because Dzeko's just not, he hasn't got the legs to like support him. So it's the partnership just doesn't quite make sense because the two doesn't have complementary, they don't have complementary skill sets for each other. And here, once again, like, look how far they are from each other. Look where Dzeko is. Like, there's just no possibility for them to even engage in a 1-2 or a pass or something, because obviously Konate is just gonna come in and intercept there, and then Dzeko tries the ball to Dumfries, which doesn't work. They just don't seem to like have a look where the other person is or try to position themselves properly throughout the pitch. And this is another one where it's Dzeko's fault. But again, look at the distance between those two. Dzeko once again comes deep, receives the ball from Bastoni, and then he tries to do a 1-2 with Bastoni. But then you can see he is apologizing already to everyone because he got the pass completely wrong. But there was no other forward option. Like, Lautaro's position there is useless. There's no way he's going to be able to get the ball to him there. It's just zero understanding. And this is the last screenshots I inserted. Like, this is how Lautaro should be used, like the last man. And obviously this was the Lukaku partnership, which is completely different, but this is more, look at the distance between the two, just so much closer together. That's where they need to be in terms of distance. And Dzeko can do these types of things as well. Obviously he's not as powerful as Lukaku, but he can hold off a defender and do a quick pass like that. But we just hardly ever have seen it. I think the only example of something similar to this was Real Madrid. If you guys remember, there was a 1-2 they did, or it was like a triangle in their first Real Madrid game at San Siro, where someone, I think Dumfries passes it to Dzeko passes it first time to, I think it's Lautaro passes it first time to Dzeko, and Dzeko has a 1v1 against Courtois, who saves it. And that's the only one of the few times I've seen these two combine, and it's just so bad. Their partnership so bad, and I hope Inzaghi stops with it. And I know at the moment there's not even that much choice because Correa is out and Caicedo's only come in, recently, and he's not looks like 100% fit. But Sanchez should have started, in my opinion, that match. He should have started against Liverpool. And I think he will start this Sassuolo match when we get into the predicted lineups. Uriel says, why do we need a big striker? Brazil won the World Cup with Bebeto, Romario. PSG got a Champions League final with Ney and Mbappe. Lautaro and Alexis should be the Inter strikers. Yeah, we don't need a big striker, but that clearly Inzaghi wants a big. We don't need one, but that's what Conte wanted. That's what Inzaghi wants, and that's why we need one. And you do need it because you're talking about that Brazil team. You're talking about the peak of the peak. You're talking about the team behind them is like top dog as well. You're talking about that PSG team. They got that's a completely different profile of team. You've got three wingers, as you see. Like Liverpool, they don't have a big striker because they've got three quick guys up front. It's a completely different profile of a team. Whereas Inter, we rely on the strikers coming deep for our build-up play. A lot of our build-up play relies on the striker being able to hold up the ball and bringing people into play. And Inzaghi clearly wants that profile. That's what we're linked with, these types of profiles. You can definitely do without it, and I've always said I like the Lautaro Alexis partnership as well. But I think you do need that guy. You do still need that guy because we rely on our wing backs. We rely on crosses a lot. These teams like Liverpool, PSG, they don't rely on crossing the ball into the box, whereas we do. Skamaka winning his next match just to flop when we buy him. Hey, you can see that happening. Future Angry says bring back Samuel Elongo. Ahmad in the house. These months will be decisive for Lauti's future. It's now or never. Yeah, it's now or never for him. He needs to. I saw today Lautaro actually posted an Instagram post in Spanish. I think it translates to something around, we need to play with more balls, with more cojones. We need to get serious. And there's a picture of him screaming after I think he missed that shot narrowly in the first half against Liverpool. But yeah, I hope he takes that attitude into this rest of the season, man. Into this rest of the season. And I know today we're even officially now linked with the Jonathan David. I know a lot of the fan base have been asking about Jonathan David from Lille. And today I think Gazzetta and Corriere dello Sport actually said that they were following him. And apparently I was told today by my friend Nima that he knows that Auxilio has actually been following Jonathan David since his days in Belgium, when he used to play in Belgium for Ghent or Genk, one of those two teams that Jonathan David used to play for. And apparently he's been following him since then, so he is a guy on the list. But again, with Jonathan David, he's that profile of, he looks more like a second striker to me rather than the main guy. Gagliardini is worth 0.1 million. Gagliardini plus Bergamo's Gatorade 100 million. Yeah, exactly. Second goal is maybe more due to positioning. Oh yeah, talking back to Handanovic. Yeah, I agree. Like, he was just all the way onto the near post. Worried about DiMarco versus Berardi. Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. Struggling to understand what is wrong with Lauti and Dzeko. I hope that those screenshots helped you out there a little bit, Ashwin. Because Dzeko and Sanchez are over 33, prone to injuries to the age, and they don't have the tank to run full 90, Dzeko goes away after like the 70th. Yeah, and that is true. But again, there must be, and I could keep saying the same thing, but there must be a reason why Lautaro is always substituted. There must be a reason, because even under Conte, he was always substituted at the 70th minute. And I'm guessing Inzaghi keeps Dzeko on just in case something like, the goal against Venezia or those types of moments where you just need to get the ball into the box for those types of moments. Sean Collins, thank you for coming through and for the kind words. Eduardo, thank you very much for the donation. Just got a notification that Arsenal are eyeing up Toro. Hey, that's what we're talking about, man. That's what we're talking about. Lautaro, he had a lot of interest. It was confirmed that I think it was Arsenal and Spurs, or one of those two, put in an official offer for him, which was around 60-70 million. But we rejected it, and it made sense. And I agree. I still think that was the right decision, because you can't revolutionize the team like how we were doing last year. And I don't know how much of that would have been really reinvested. We were shown by Suning that they weren't even willing to reinvest. So you can't just change up the whole team after winning the Scudetto. So in the end, I think it made sense to keep Lautaro and give him the contract as well. But now he just needs to step up to the next level. He needs to show why we gave him the new contract and show why he's the main guy. And then, yeah, if he gets to, again, 17, 18 goals by the end of the season, those offers will come again. Because as I said, the striker market is very, very dead out there. And Arsenal, Man City went for Julian Alvarez quite smartly. But, even Barcelona, like these teams, even Real Madrid, if they sell Luka Jovic now, who's been an absolute flop for them, they might be looking for that guy that, to fight for the spot with Benzema. So these clubs will come calling if Lautaro just, returns to his usual levels. It's definitely not out of the case. And then if 60-70 million offer comes again, then I'll be willing to sell him, even though I do feel like he will end up being a top striker at some point. But 60-70 million, I think it's a good deal, because financially as well, we've had Lautaro for now 3 or 4 seasons, so his value in the books is like completely absorbed. So it'd be almost pure profit when you're selling Lautaro now. Dzeko in general never looks before he heads it down. He has an awful in that game on the punts. I think he connected maybe one pass header. Yeah, especially against Liverpool. I think he was more focused on winning the header rather than actually like placing it somewhere. I think he was just so focused on beating Van Dijk and Konate in the air that he wasn't even actually looking at where he was heading it. It's not a dying breed. It's a changing of the old guard that people jump on any talent. But I think he is a dying breed, like if you can look at proper old school centre back, that's a dying breed. When you look at like a destroying midfielder, specialized positions are a dying breed now. That's like in general in football, like the CAM, the number 10 position, that's a dying breed. It was pretty much dead now. there are positions that I think are a dying breed for sure. But also at the same time, because there's more money influx, there's more hype around players. There also is the fact that everyone jumps on any talent. 6 good months and you're worth 60 million. It's crazy. Like the hype that some players generate so quickly, social media, all that kind of stuff is way too quick. Grant says, despite how he's been playing recently, I still feel confident in Barella's return. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been critical of Barella recently, but I have faith in the guy to return to his usual level. And he needs to as well. He needs to step up now because he obviously, we missed him against Liverpool, and I hope that annoys him, the fact that he was out against Liverpool. Sanchez needs to play much more until the end of the season, yes, because he's finally been like consistently fit, and I was expecting him to play a lot more. Tommy, damn, early stream. Let me get out of bread, bro. It's all good, man. It's all good. You can watch it on your phone in bed. When Gus is returned, maybe Perisic, Dzeko can work because they probably have the best chemistry in the team. That's true. I mean, they have the best chemistry in terms of like off the pitch. I know they're good friends, and usually they link up on the pitch as well. But we've seen Perisic at the striker position. Conte played him a few times when there was an emergency. Conte played him in the 3-4-2-1. If you guys remember, there was a match we played against Hellas Verona, and Perisic played as the left wing of the three. And he's even scored some goals when he played in that position. He played against Real Madrid away in the Champions League under Conte, and he scored a goal in that one. But he doesn't look as comfortable. It makes sense in those types of matches with like Liverpool, where if Perisic was up front, then he's there for those balls in behind. Then yeah. But in general, like you see, Perisic is just not very comfortable. I know he's going through like an amazing bit of form, and he looks like he could play like anywhere, Perisic. But his whole career has been based off playing in that left wing or the right wing, getting to the byline, getting that cross in, sometimes cutting in. But when you're playing at strike, your game has to be a lot more varied. And when he gets into tighter spaces, that's where he struggles, Perisic. It could work, but I don't see that as like an ideal situation. And hopefully soon Correa is returning. Sanchez should be playing more. Like the options are returning. Caicedo's returning to fitness, so the options will be there. There will be. I don't think there's any need to put Perisic out of position just to fit Gosens in there. And I think Gosens will take some time anyway to get back to a good level because he's been injured for a while now. Dzeko, yeah, that's another thing. It does annoy me with Dzeko in terms of why does he come so deep? Like I understand he's very good technically, and he wants, and clearly is an instruction from Inzaghi. We're like 70% through the season now. It's not just Dzeko. This is clearly an instruction from Inzaghi. He's happy for him to do this work, but I think it gasses him out because he has to run around so much. And I think Lautaro can also do the same job that Dzeko does coming deep. So I do agree. I think they should swap roles. I think they should let Lautaro do the dirty work coming deep and let Dzeko just roam around into the box and wait for crosses and long balls to come in. I agree. Alexis always tries to play people in. The entire match players were making runs and not getting reward. Yeah, that's one thing as well. Alexis is our high risk player. Like he's the one that tries those riskier balls. Lautaro's IG says that this is the moment to have more balls. Yeah, thank you for the translation there, Eduardo. And I agree. This is the moment to have more balls. Would I take Saudi owners? Yeah, I'll take any owners. I'm not one of those guys who like people get into the morals and stuff about who your owners are. At the end of the day, I only care about what is going on onto the pitch, my team, and I want the best for my team. And I think having more money is better for our team for sure. Let's get into the preview of the match now, guys. Predicted lineups for the Sassuolo match. As we know, man, this is a must win. If Milan win, which probably they will tomorrow, they have Salernitana. They would go 4 points clear, which obviously we still know it's a fugazi 4 points because we still have that game in hand against Bologna, which is still not announced exactly when they're bloody playing that. So this is the predicted lineup from Sport Mediaset, which are not as reliable as the Sky Sport Italy lineups, but they were similar to this Sky Sport Italy lineups. But I prefer the visual the graphics that they use for this one, so I'm using this one. So Bastoni is still out. Bastoni is out because of his suspension, which today Inter appealed, but it was rejected. So he's definitely out of this Sassuolo match. So it's gonna be pretty much 90% is gonna be Di Marco, who showed he is, against a difficult team, against Napoli, he stepped up to the plate. Whatever you think about Di Marco, he stepped up to the plate. And we saw even with Bastoni, guys. Bastoni, I mean, it's harsh to say, but technically he was also at fault for the first goal of Liverpool, because he was the one that lost Firmino for the corner. So he's definitely the starting, the guy we prefer there. But it doesn't mean that Bastoni never makes mistakes or anything like that. We're just obviously with Di Marco, we're more worried about what could happen. And of course, they have Berardi there, who's similar profile to Politano in terms of a guy who's very heavily left-footed and he loves cutting in, like Politano, but a lot less quicker than Politano. He is like the main creative threat from Sassuolo, so he's going to have to be on his A game. Di Marco on that left-hand side, and Berardi, very very underrated player. I think this season he's got like 10 goals and 10 assists, or 10 goals and 9 assists. Like, he is one of the best final product players in the league, in the top 5 leagues in Europe. Actually, I think he's only behind Salah and some big boys in terms of his actual production. And yeah, Berardi needs a big move, and he did try to get it this summer. Berardi, he put in a transfer request. That's why he didn't play in the first few games this season. He was put out of the squad because, winning the Euros, he thought maybe this is time for me to get my big move, and no one really came seriously for him, which is a shame. And he is one of my favorite players in the league, Berardi, big baller, although he's a bit clunky on the ball. Not the most aesthetically pleasing winger, but he's effective, and he usually has a good game against Inter as well. He is supposedly an Inter fan in his youth, but unfortunately we've never really had a formation over the last few years that would fit him in. Maybe under Spalletti would have been perfect. But yeah, he's definitely one to watch out for. But of course, we will get help from Perisic, who, if Di Marco starts, there's no other option unless you put Darmian out of position. So, when it comes to rotations, I'm happy with Inzaghi changing 1 out of the 3 of the starters, if you know what I mean. Like in defense, like here they've put Ranocchia as well, in terms of over De Vrij, but in Sky Sport Italy they have De Vrij still playing. Yeah, I would rather, when you're rotating, I would rather have just 1 of the 3 change. Like same in the midfield, changing 1 out of the 3, the wing backs 1 out of the 2, strikers 1 out of the 2. Like, not too many rotations, so you don't get rid of the certainties and the chemistry in the team. But it wouldn't be at the end of the world if Ranocchia came in as well, because De Vrij, as we know, hasn't been in great form, to be honest. So let's see what happens with that. And Scamacca is a 6'5" threat, of course. And of course, guys, we gotta talk. We know Scamacca, Frattesi, Raspadori, and for me, on a personal level, Junior Hamid Traore, putting our glasses on, getting the notepads out, and making our scout session notes about these 3 guys, because we know the whole season now we've been linked with these, especially those 3 guys, especially Scamacca, especially Frattesi. Raspadori ones have died down a little bit, the rumors on Raspadori, but those 3 guys, we have to watch them very, very carefully. But of course, at the same time, guys, let's not be too harsh on these guys, just because they are playing against Inter. They're playing against the best team in the league. So if they have a bit of a quieter game, a bit of a stinker, don't use that against them. Look in terms of, when you look at Scamacca, don't look at did he score or not. Look at how his touch is in terms of his link-up play. Look at his movement when he's moving in and around our defense. How is he bringing people into play? And when he's shooting, what types of shots is he taking? What's his technique like when he's shooting? When you're looking at Raspadori, look at his movement, look at his link-up play, look how hard he works, what types of shots he's taking, what type of passes he makes, because of course he's got more creative role in behind Scamacca. And when it comes to Frattesi, again, I've told you guys in my video that I made about Frattesi, don't look too much. He doesn't get too involved in the build-up play for Sassuolo, but look at when he brings the ball, when he carries the ball, when he takes on players, and look at his movement off the ball, like getting into the box. So don't judge them too harshly if they get like a pass wrong, or if they get a touch wrong, because they will be playing at the San Siro. But at the same time, these guys have been giant killers this season. Sassuolo, they went to the San Siro, beat Milan. Just in the last match, they gave Roma a great match. Like Roma had to get a last-minute equalizer. They beat Juventus away at Juventus at the Allianz. They've had some good results this season. Sassuolo, they've not been beating the teams they should be beating in the lower end of the table, but they've been killing the teams higher up in the table. So they should not be underestimated for sure. Because when you come to the San Siro, yes, it can be intimidating, but also you have less pressure when you're playing for these teams. You just play a lot more freely, and these guys will be playing like their life depends on it. It's their audition for getting the big move to Inter potentially. Let me see. Quickly get back to your comments. Rather than Barella as a regista, I want to see Hakane. I think he feel quite well there. Yeah, I think that could be something that works. We've seen, of course, he's got the technical ability to play there. But at the same time, I don't think we should just, Barella. Yeah, I think we could. We've seen this season that Inzaghi has preferred to move. But if Brozovic is substituted, usually he moves Barella in that position. But that is usually in the middle of the game. The one time that Brozovic didn't start this season was against Empoli in the Coppa Italia, and he started Vecino there for some reason, which out of the three, out of Vidal, Vecino, Gagliardini, I think Vecino would have been my last option to put as a regista. So I would rather put Barella there and have Gagliardini battling it out, because I think Gagliardini's muscle, Sassuolo have a very lightweight midfield, which I think is the reason why they conceded a lot of goals this season as well. Like they lost Locatelli, who is, a guy that does both phases of the game very well. But Frattesi and Lopez are both small midfielders. And, Raspadori tries to help out in the middle, but it's a very lightweight team in general. So I think Gagliardini's muscle and Çalhanoğlu and Barella, I think, can override that midfield for sure. And I would, definitely Barella as a regista, I think. And let Gagliardini get into the box, use his aerial threat and his movement into the box. Politano is permanent. He didn't want to play as a second striker. That's the reason why we had to sell him, because Conte just didn't see him in that position, and he wasn't playing. He didn't like that position either. Hey, we got Jaffa in the house as well. Scamacca Hive, rise up. Yeah, exactly, bro. Scamacca Hive, rise up. Hamed Traore is a baller. Yeah, he's a guy I like a lot, Hamed Traore. I see his future to be as a box-to-box midfielder. He is playing as a winger now for Sassuolo since Jeremy Boga left, but I think he has those abilities, because that's where he used to play more when he came up with Empoli. He was playing as like a centre mid, like a mezzala. I think that is the future for him as a position. And he had a good game against Roma, so we definitely need to watch out for him. But he's nowhere near as a threat like 1v1 as Skriniar found out Boga was last time round. Will Maxi Lopez again trouble Inter? Yeah, he was really good last time round as well. But I don't think, as I said, I think we can win that midfield battle this time round. But he is really, really good at retaining the possession. After Sham says that they can pull stinkers, that they can take stinkers personal and drop 50. Yeah, exactly. Can't wait to see Lautaro and Scamacca next season. Hey, that would be a fire duo. Looks like history might repeat itself. After we sold Samuel Eto'o, things went downhill. We saw Lukaku and things are similarly going downhill. And there's completely different situations, I would say. Eto'o himself wanted to leave and he left like halfway through the season, did he not? Or to Anzi. And he left for money and to Russia. And he was, towards the end of his career. Whereas Lukaku was leaving at his peak. I don't think there's much of a comparison there, to be fair, Keston. Because Scamacca Raspadori be the future in striker duo? They can, but at the same time, you can't tell me the two two Sassuolo guys are the future of Inter, like strike force. Maybe they could end up being, but like to me, there's still levels between Sassuolo and Inter improving it. That you can do it at Inter in the at a high level in the Champions League, winning titles. It's pressure situation. Gagliardini in the box against Sassuolo, sweating for Adriano. Hey man, that's one thing. You guys know I don't like Gagliardini, but he does his job well. Mosso won't have against speed though. Gallia will be lagging behind the quick midfield. That is true. That is true. That is true. He is going to be lagging behind. They've got a very quick and nippy midfield. But I'm confident going into this match. I don't know why, but I feel like we've seen this Inter team does react well after losses. Like after the Lazio loss, we reacted well. After the Milan loss, remember in the Coppa Italia, great reaction against Roma. And I think after this Champions League loss, I think we will have a good reaction. I think this team has shown that it reacts well after adversity. Sassuolo is into supermarket. It looks like it, but we haven't actually bought anyone from there yet. So let's not even go too far. Like all the rumors are saying we are, but at the end of the day, nothing is actually done. And other teams might come in and swoop in for these guys. It doesn't mean. I know that apparently Scamacca said that he wants to play for Inter, and I know Raspadori isn't born Inter fan, but it doesn't mean that they will end up here for certain. I've been pushing Scamacca agenda. I agree we shouldn't be too harsh on him, but I can already see everyone overreacting and calling him trash after tomorrow. Yeah, I can see that for sure, but I can also see if Scamacca does score, everyone's going to say sell Lautaro and bring him in straight away. There's no balance ever. There's never any balance. Darwin Núñez alike, but Premier League teams have had 50 mil builds rejected. Yeah, I mean, Benfica, Porto, these teams are like impossible to negotiate with. You either pay the release clause or there's nothing, and it's hard. It's very hard to negotiate with these teams. Big up to you two as well, White Suburban Kid. The similarities, Sharma, is that they were both our top players at their respective timelines. Yeah, that's the one similarity, that they were top players, but Eto'o was on the declining phase of his career, and we were. I guess you could say, yeah, we're also broke because Moratti was the end of the Moratti era. Actually, you might be right. There is more parallels than I actually thought, because this looks like it's the end of the Suning era as well, and that was the end of the Moratti era. So you could be spitting there, actually, Keston, and take it back. But that team, though, that Inter team was in general on the decline. It was an old team with a lot of inflated older players on contracts, whereas this team, a lot of the inflated contracts, like Vidal. A lot of the people are going to be leaving at the end of this season. Vecino's contract ends at the end of this season. There's going to be a refresh coming, and we didn't have Beppe Marotta back then, so there is some similarities, but it doesn't mean that necessarily we're going into our banter era. Sassuolo co-op, yeah, I like that one. Roma is paying 30% of Fratese's transfer. As in, they have a 30% sell-on clause, you mean, if someone buys him? I think I heard that. I think you might be right. Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, we have gone downhill from last season. There's no denying that. We knew that from last season, that this team is worse off than we were last season. But it depends what we do this coming summer. Oh, by the way, Porto's Martinez scored 2 on Lazio, on Joao assist on both goals. It's not our Joao Mario. Our Joao Mario is the one that plays at Benfica, if you were referring to him. If we win Scudetto, Inzaghi deserves a statue. Well, I wouldn't stretch it that far, but he definitely deserves a lot of credit of taking over a team that downgraded in a lot of aspects and taking it to the next level. Yeah, I agree here, Eva. I don't know how people can say that Scamacca and Raspadori are better than Lautaro. I don't know if he's 3 times the player that they are, but it's like, I've already spoke about the Lautaro issue if you go back to the beginning of the video, bro. But you can't tell me that Scamacca and Raspadori are better than Lautaro right now. Maybe in the future they could turn out to be, but who knows? I think I don't believe that. I completely disagree with people that say that these guys are better than Lautaro. Like, his goal scoring record for Inter and Argentina speaks for itself. Why are Nike and Inter beefing over the Moncler deal? Oh, didn't see this. I need to look into this. No news on the Bologna game still, bro. I think they're waiting for us. I don't know if they're waiting for us to get out of the Champions League or something, but it's still, the slow bureaucracy of Italy. I do not know what is going on. Squad may be worse, but look at our achievements. Yeah, exactly. No, Inzaghi deserves a lot of credit. In terms of the Sassuolo lineup as well, quickly, I want to touch up their captain, Ferrari, is missing, so it means that Ayhan will be playing a centre-back. And the reason why I am confident about this game, their defense is not good. Like Muldur as a wing-back is good going forward, but very weak defensively. Kirikesh is good on the ball, but weak defensively. Like Sanchez has had good games against Sassuolo in the past as well. Consigli usually plays really well against us, their goalkeeper, but I just feel like they're very susceptible at the back. Defensively, if you look at their record, they're one of the worst defenses in the league as well. Like 44 goals conceded they have this season, more than double of ours. Only 2 clean sheets. They face a lot of shots per match. One thing they are good at, though, they are a team that does dribble quite a lot. Where is it? Yeah, look, they've completed more than 100 dribbles more than we have this season with a higher percentage. So they do like to play, vertically and direct football. So we do need to watch out on the counter-attack, of course. And up front, I'm liking it. Sanchez, Martinez. Come on, Lautaro. This is the partnership I want to see. I want to see Lautaro and Sanchez up front. That's the partnership I think we should go. Dzeko deserves a rest. I hope the guy doesn't even get any minutes this match. I hope he just gets a pillow, gets a blanket, and this guy just chills. He's played like 4 full matches. The last few matches we played, he's played like full 90 minutes, I believe, Dzeko. So he deserves and needs a rest. And I hope Caicedo is ready to come in this match, because we need to start getting Caicedo integrated as well. Like, I know he's only here till the end of the season, but we will need him for some matches where we can't score a goal. We need him to come in late on, so he needs to start getting into match rhythm as well. And I hope these two get good amount of minutes. I hope they don't get subbed around 60th minute or something like that. And I think Sanchez and Martinez will get a goal each. That's my prediction. Let's finish it up with some match prediction. Seba waiting to come in the conversation and fade like Balotelli. Are you talking about Esposito? Don't know about him. I'm not convinced about him at all. Cheers, the Spurs reject, exactly. Sassuolo giant killers. Inter need to step up in this game after all the bad results. That would be a champions mentality. Yep, exactly. Also, why aren't we playing our possession play style? Why are we trying to counter now? Well, now that's what I was talking about from the beginning of the season, guys. I think people got Inzaghi confused to be some sort of like possession-based, hipster type of guy. His Lazio team was always a counter-attacking team. When you look at his time at Lazio, his Lazio team on average had like 45-47% possession. Like, they weren't never a dominating team, and they had a good midfield. Milinkovic-Savic, Luis Alberto, Lucas Leiva. That's a technical midfield. And then the teams that we've played recently, Milan, Napoli, Liverpool, all these teams that pressed us high, and the possession has been pretty 50-50 in these matches, and that's what it's going to be in the bigger matches. You're not going to be able to dominate possession, and even on the technical level, like when we're talking there, like Brozovic, Barella, Hakan is a technical midfield, but it's not like the most, they're not like Xavi, Iniesta we're talking about here. So we dominate, especially when we'll come up next week. We're playing Genoa next week, and then we'll play Salernitana, I believe. Then you'll see us having 70% possession and completely killing the other team. But these teams, even Sassuolo, I think on average, I think they might be even higher or the same amount of possession, average possession as Inter. So even in this match, I'm not expecting to dominate the ball. So I'm expecting around like 50% possession in this match as well, because Sassuolo can hold the ball for days if they want. They're a very good technical team. So I think people need to they need to like realize that I think this period where we saw this possession style of play was against the weaker teams, which we'll return to in the coming weeks. So that finally our bloody difficult period is over. This February was so difficult on a mental level, on a physical level, but it's finally over, and we've finally got better fixtures coming up where we should be securing the 3 points. I was actually negative, compared to a lot of you guys. I was negative about these previous matches. I thought we were going to come out of these matches with 2 points. I thought against Milan we're going to draw, and I thought against Napoli we're going to draw, but we lost against Milan and we drew against Napoli. But that 1 point out of 2 matches is not good enough for Inter, so we need to catch up now. So next matches we've got Genoa on Friday, then we've got the Coppa Italia now against Milan, Tuesday 1st of March. Then we have Salernitana at home, which should be another 3 points. Then we have Liverpool again away at Anfield. Then we have Torino. That's a difficult one away. So then there is a little difficult period again after that, because there's Torino and Fiorentina back to back, and then there's Juventus, and then there's Verona. So these 3 matches of Genoa, Sassuolo, Salernitana have to be 9 points. 100% have to be 9 points. The pressure is on the boys to deliver now. What's up, Shine in the house? We're just about to leave now. Oh man, I don't know why people always ask about Jovic. The guy is like a lost cause at the moment. He needs to go somewhere and recover his career before he gets to link to big clubs first. Like, the guy barely plays. I liked him at Eintracht, but that was like 3 years ago now. He needs to go somewhere and actually play and prove that he's still a good player. Talked about the Jonathan rumors, and I like him. Very direct, quick, mobile player that's going to be ideal to the Inzaghi system, but I see him more as a second striker. I'm not a lost cause. Your cousin is the lost cause, not you. But yeah, guys, I am going much predictions. I'm going to go for a solid 3-1 victory. If it's true that Ranocchia and Di Marco coming in, I see us conceding a goal, but I think Lautaro, Alexis, and one of the centre backs will score a goal from a set piece. They will get one dodgy goal from somewhere. We're returning to 3 points. We're returning to winning ways. We're returning to put the pressure on everyone else and reminding everyone else who the boss is in the league. We still are the best team in Italy, in my opinion. And yeah, keep a lookout for the matches going on this Serie A weekend. We've got the Derby della Mole today, Juventus Torino today. That's one to keep an eye on. Hoping Torino can at least get a draw there. They're away at the Allianz, so it's not easy. What else we got? As you said, Salernitana, Milan. Hopefully Salernitana, they've got a new manager yesterday, Nicola, who has done some miracles in the past keeping teams up, but yeah, maybe they get the new manager bounce, hopefully, to hold Milan to a draw, but I don't have much hope. Atalanta, Fiorentina, that should be a nice one. Or Fiorentina, Atalanta, that's a good one. Cagliari, Napoli, Mazzarri maybe can do us a favor. Former Napoli coach, former Inter coach. Roma, Verona. Decent Serie A weekend up ahead. Looking forward to watching some of these matches. Hashtag let Uncle Sharma cook. Yeah, more like let Beppe cook. Juric, the kingmaker for this season. Yeah, Juric has been doing some great work at Torino this season, but we need him to do us a favor against Juventus, not to get them too gassed up. 2-1 Scamacca will score Raspadori assist. Yeah, I can see that happening. To be honest. I can see that happening for sure. Come on, guys, give me a couple more predictions before I go. I said 3-1. Ahmad says 3-0. Lautaro double and Barella goal. Yeah, Barella, we need him to step up for sure. As we said, was not there for the Champions League. Has been disappointing for me recently, so he needs to step up. 2-0 or 3-0. Great reaction from Inter after UCL disappointment. Julian says 2-1 Inter, Lauti goal. Nicola says 2-1. Tari says 2-0. CHU Chiha says 2-1. Yeah, I like it. We have to get revenge in the Coppa. Yeah, we will. Don't worry. We'll get revenge in the Coppa. Barella needs to show up. Yeah, he will. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me. Mattia, last minute prediction 3-1. He agrees with me. Thank you very much for joining me. Make sure you're leaving a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel if you're new. Freddie Boss in the house as always. Nice to hear your voice yesterday, actually, on the spaces, Freddie Boss. Nice to put a voice to the face as well. Yeah, thank you everyone that tuned in. It's a bit of an early preview, I know, because we're playing Sunday, not Saturday. So tomorrow I'm away, but you'll see me for the post-match reaction on Sunday. Ciao ragazzi, Forza Inter.